the last 11 months of journey that we've been doing across the conflict and challenging zones outside of India to map the journeys of Guru Nanak. It's been the most fulfilling experience. And before I start, I want to acknowledge my wife who's sitting here, Vininder Kaur. Is she here? Just get up. All right, she's right there. Our younger daughter and elder daughters in Vancouver, but they've been the pillar of support, and she has been doing this entire journey with us. And I always say, without the other sex energy, the feminine energy, this project would not have happened. In these zones that we've gone, if it was just one masculine energy, in the spirit of Guru Nanak, I can say, the twin have come together to make this happen. I want to thank Salman Alam Khan, who's standing right behind. Salman, just wave your hand. Chance got us to meet each other, and today he's our adopted son in Pakistan. And he's been the force behind it. And I don't have Deepak Verma here with us today. He's going to take forward the journey, a 6-month journey that we're going to start from 14th of December across India. And when I look at this team, I say, a Sikh man, a Sikh woman, a Muslim, a Hindu, this is the spirit of Guru Nanak in which this documentary is being made. And with that, I want to start by saying, apologies if I may sound harsh sometimes, but that's just me. I do often say Sikhs have not done the right service to Guru Nanak's philosophy. Because when I look at the umpteen number of books that are there in English language, translating our philosophy, they say Guru Nanak believed in monotheism. He preached monotheism. Sorry, he did not. He preached, you are me, I am you. He says, tohi mohi, mohi tohi, antar kaisa. What is the difference between you and me and you? It's like the substratum of a bracelet, which is made of gold, can take any shape. It's like the wave on the water. The substratum is the water. The wave can emerge in many forms. So what's the difference? Guru Nanak did not preach monotheism. He taught us the philosophy of monism. And monism and monotheism are two different words. Monotheism says God is one. The creation of God is not God. God is one. He's created the creation. Guru Nanak says there's no difference between the creation and the God. Because Kabir says in Granth Sahib, Khalak, Khalak, Khalak mein Khalik. God is in the creation, creation is God. You are God. There's no difference. We are all a reflection of God himself, the divine himself. So what's the difference? And therefore I humbly request us, the few who are present here, let's use the right definition of defining who we are, what philosophy we follow. We follow monism because monism doesn't divide anything. Today when you go back and look at the definition of monotheism and monism, monotheism preaches an aspect of duality because God is not you. He is one or she is one, but not you. And monism is everything is one. And with that spirit, because he says in the Granth Sahib, he starts with one, Ik Onkar, the numeral one cannot give a philosophy of duality. And therefore I move forward to share the insights of what we have experienced in our 11 months of journey. Let me just share with you the concept of the documentary that we're doing.
In the borderless world of 15th century, people traveled distances to trade. Rulers invaded to expand territories, and Nanak glided across the geographies to spread the message of humanity. During his travels, Guru Nanak covered a large geographical tapestry, which in the 21st century comprised of 9 nations: Pakistan, India, China, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan. to break barriers across faiths by engaging in spiritual dialogues, Guru Nanak visited numerous Islamic, Sufi, Buddhist, and Hindu sites. Between 15th and 16th centuries, the universal narratives of Guru Nanak's travels were rendered only through oral traditions. In the 17th century, the oral narratives were strengthened by documenting them in the form of books, known as Janam Sakhis. Today, in the 21st century, the Janam Sakhis are forgotten, and division of geographies as sovereign nations have made many of the historic sites inaccessible. Thus, there is a compelling need to explore and fill the sites visited by Guru Nanak so that the faded memories can be kept alive. Allegory, which means the revelation of a hidden meaning, is a tapestry of Guru Nanak's travels. It will be the first documentary of its kind to chronicle the vast expanse of sites across 9 countries that were visited by Guru Nanak. Through an exploration and documentation of these sites in the 21st century, interspersed with narratives of the past, the universal message of Guru Nanak will continue to glide through generations.
70% of the sites or the geography that Guru Nanak visited is today in zones where it's very tough to access them. Pakistan, we thank the government of Pakistan for having reopened the access to the Kartarpur corridor, which you see here, clicked in 2014. Today it's a sprawling campus. So thank you, if Council General is here, for the Pakistan government for allowing us to come and visit Guru Nanak's last resting place. But yet, what we forget is the vastness of sites across Pakistan. If you look at that map, from Skardu, Baltistan, along the Indus River, Kargil, right up to Balochistan near the Arabian Sea, these dots that you see, there are more than 45 sites associated with Guru Nanak's travels. And unfortunately, in this ecstasy of the celebrations of Guru Nanak's 550th birthday, I saw a lot of people visiting a lot of sites in India. And I found one is that they're not able to go beyond India because the sites are not accessible. The second challenge that I see is the mindset is only gravitating towards Gurdwaras, the Sikh temples. Guru Nanak did not travel into any Gurudwaras. Guru Nanak traveled to sites where spiritualists would congregate because he was wanting to engage with them. Yes, at some places Gurdwaras were made. But the narrative of Guru Nanak cannot be limited to Gurdwaras. And that's the question that I've posed to ourselves, that how can we access the multitude of interfaith sites in a country like Pakistan where he was born and he spent his last days. And what you see here is just a glimpse of that. Baba Farid's place. Sindh, Balochistan, these are not Gurdwaras. Islamic, Sufi sites where Jogis would get together, the Hindu sites. And yes, some Gurdwaras were made in his memory. How do we bring this beautiful interfaith message of oneness of mankind through Guru Nanak's footsteps for the world to see him? The world decides that Alexander is worthy to be actually documented. His journeys are worthy to be documented. And I often say, what was his greatness? Alexander the Great. What was his greatness? Killing people, expanding territories? Genghis Khan deserves the attention of BBC to make a documentary on his travels. And I often say, these travels are a mere excuse to delve into the deeper import of Guru Nanak's message for humanity. Because I cannot depict Guru Nanak. So how through these sites I depict the philosophy of oneness of Guru Nanak? That's the essence of this whole mission. And when we look at 45 sites across Pakistan, I asked the Divine once again in November last year, you have never failed me and my team. Will you be kind enough to guide us through this journey? Not knowing what was going to be the next. This is a huge hurdle financially, time-wise, commitment. and navigating through zones where accessibility is not allowed. And therefore, again, if the Council General is here, I want to thank the Pakistan government who came forward and heard us. I want to thank the entire team that worked with us to go from Skardu in Baltistan right down to Baltistan. As I stand here today, as I take you through this journey, I want to announce that in the last 11 months, with the divine grace, we have completed 100% of the filming outside of India. As we were going through this journey, I'll tell you, the deep feeling inside was, I will not succeed, our team will not succeed. Because we know what challenges we faced. But today as we stand, I'm jokingly saying, there's no adrenal rush left in this project. Because we finished everything in those conflicting zones. I want the adrenal rush, because India is going to be relatively easier to do it. Life's not a threat, right? So with that, I start with Pakistan. The entire memory is only focused on Nankana Sahib, Panja Sahib, and Kartarpur Sahib, where Guru Nanak was born, where Guru Nanak passed away, and a few more sites like Panja Sahib. And the entire focus is on that. But what about the vastness of sites that are existing there? And that's what we started with. And I just want to give one or two examples in every country. There's a few countries that I'll talk about because time is limited. But I just want to give you a feeling of the oneness, the message of oneness. I often ask, in these monuments, I see a soul residing there that takes me back into the past. But is the soul still residing amongst the people of Nanak's message? When partition of 1947 happened, one community, which was Guru Nanak, walked 9 countries with his Muslim friend Bhai Mardana, who always played the rabab, the rebek. And whenever he would say, I have got some divine utterings manifesting in my mind, Mardana would pick up the rabab and start playing, and the two would sing, right? And the 1947 was so harsh and cruel in uprooting 10 million people in the creation of a divide between India and Pakistan, that it uprooted and killed 1 million people, divided 10 million people, uprooting them. I mean, not dividing, made 10 million people move across borders. In that, this family, the descendants, not this family, many descendants of Bhai Mardana who walked with Guru Nanak, because their faith was Islam, had to move to Pakistan from the East Punjab in India. And as they moved there, many of them lost the patrons, the ones who would hear them, because the entire Sikh and Hindu population moved on the other side. This void created a big gap in the philosophy of Guru Nanak in terms of the oneness of the message. Because they used to sing, their ancestors would sing Kirtan in the Golden Temple too. And across many Gurdwaras in India and across in Pakistan. But that whole thing stopped. And as this generation grew up, they grew up as laborers because they lost the patrons. They lost the means of livelihood. They grew up as singing in restaurants, film industry. But this particular family, who basically does a labor job of lifting sand and gravel for construction sites, kept the tradition alive. In 2014, when I stepped in Pakistan, I requested them, I want to get inside your home. And the man right at the end, the old man, he said, you're most welcome. But sorry, I can't take you because your appearance will make our neighbors question as to what are we up to. We believe in Guru Nanak, but your appearance, this divide between faiths is so strong, the underlying current. I kept patiently waiting for the day to arrive. And in 2019, February, when we were in Pakistan, I requested humbly to them again, we want to come to your home, but this is a project about Guru Nanak. And they allowed us. First time they allowed us, and now when I look at so many pictures in the 550th celebration of Guru Nanak, I'm so happy that so many of people from India, not from India, but from US and UK who are going in there, they are welcoming them in the home. When you talk, you break barriers. You create an understanding. Because when we walked into their home, no one questioned them. That's the realization I think that's happened, that they're now welcoming more and more people to the home. And this is Salman filming them on their roof. And all the neighbors were watching them at that time. They're singing Guru Nanak's verses in Guru Nanak's praise.
जगत गुरु बाबा
tradition is yet alive. Baba Nanak is yet alive in Pakistan. That's the only message I want to give. But they are the descendants of Bhai Mardana who have it in their DNA. But such is the divide that I was speaking to Sarfraz the other day, about 3 months back on the phone, and I said, Sarfraz, why don't you sing that one single verse of Mardana which is there, Bhai Mardana in the Granth Sahib? Why don't you sing that? Because he's your ancestor. And he says, sorry, but this divide has taken away the entire scripture from us. What we are singing is from the memory of our forefathers, and I don't know that verse. And I then made an attempt to actually translate, explain, and pass it over to him. I'm happy when he announced last month that he's prepared that verse and he started singing as an opening verse in all the programs that he now goes to, because that's their lineage. That's the change you bring when you start talking. But here is an example of Baba Nanak not being just alive in the people with DNA. This lady in Pakistan, a Muslim lady, they were also Muslims, but this Muslim lady finds it fascinating in the verses of Baba Nanak when Bhai Ghulam Chand, who's passed away about 5 to 6 years back at an age of over 90 years, some of his recordings are there on the YouTube, you can go and search it. He would basically do Kirtan just for himself because the divide parted the audience, and he maintained the tradition. But recently when he passed away 5 years back, this lady found it so fascinating that she spent 15 years of her life with Bhai Ghulam Chand learning. When a person devotes the life towards an art, then you can simply hear from her voice the power of it without any backing of an instrument. And that makes me believe Baba Nanak is yet alive. And people find it very interesting and surprising when I tell them there are congregations that we have attended in Lahore, where at their home they sit down, call them Muslims, call them Sufis, call them anything that you want to, but they discuss the philosophy of Baba Nanak. That's the hope we have. One day in the small alley that's been opened between India and Pakistan for Kartarpur corridor, I see hope. Many more such corridors will open. Arteries will open, allowing the Muslims to come on this side to their places, allowing Hindus, Jains and Sikhs to go on the other side, because enough is enough of a divide. We have to believe in the oneness of Guru Nanak. Let me assure you, Baba Nanak still lives in Pakistan. And as we move on into Afghanistan, a war-torn country, before the war started, there were 250,000 Nanak Panthis. I'm not using the word Sikh out here. I'm using the word Nanak Panthi because believers of Nanak are not necessarily historically, they've not been in this form as you see me. We are of the one small sub-segment of the broader tradition, which we have divided. And we have actually forgotten that the broader community actually was Nanak Panthi. I am no one to judge anyone. 250,000 people of believers of Nanak. As you move westwards of India, you come to a point of understanding the older culture along the Indus belt and going right into Afghanistan, from Pakistan to Afghanistan, every so-called Hindu was a believer of Nanak. That today is fragmented. Why should it be fragmented? And therefore, as we go into Afghanistan, that number we realize 250,000 reduced to 850 today. The 30 years of war has had a severe impact on this community. The sites, as you see, along the Pakistan border. We stood at Parachinar. Not possible to access that territory, but we've been kind enough, God's been kind enough, when we went there in Pakistan, I was looking on the other side of the Afghanistan border, across the hills, and I'm asking, can we get in that side? I don't know. How we will get in, I have no idea. But that day came when we stood on the other side of the border at Khost, because what was the reason of going to Khost, which is infested with Taliban? The entire culture today in Afghanistan is the oppressed and the oppressor outside of Kabul is holding an AK-47. You can be a collateral damage in this entire exercise. We've had a lot of challenges, but I'm not going to talk about negativities. I'm only going to focus on the positivities. And as we stood there, and I looked on the other side and said, God, will we get there? Because Kurram is the region on the other side where Bhai Mardana is believed to have passed away. There's no memory in terms of his grave there, but one narrative says that he probably passed away there. There's no affirmation out here, but one narrative does say that. And we reached there, the entire Nanak Panthi population has vanished from the locality known as Prem Nagar. This is my wife Nikki and the lady from Kabul, who apparently who is a Sikh lady, but has never stepped out of Kabul because the war has created such deep challenges for them. It's a huge risk to actually step out of Kabul. And it's the first time we told her, you will come with us. And she came with us. We faced a lot of challenges. But when we reached Khost, Salman is filming that broken memory of a Gurdwara which is there, because the Sikh temple, but no one's there now anymore. Khalida comes out, the lady with that AK-47, and tells her grandson, looking at us, me with a turban, I'm visibly recognizable, says to her grandson, go with them, take this AK-47, give them protection. A young boy, less than 18 years, holding the gun, made me believe and wonder, made me wonder as to where this country has come to. But yet, it's the love of that person, the boy who stayed behind with us all throughout when we moved in Prem Nagar. And she told him, bring them back for a meal that I'm making. And we went into her home. And as we looked at this lavish vegetarian spread that she had put, I remember Salman says, I'll say it in Urdu and then we'll translate it. He says, Aaj badi musibat hai. Nahi khaya to AK-47, khaya to AK-47. It's a big problem today with this meal. If I eat, it's an AK-47. If I don't eat, it's an AK-47. But you know what? The love of Khalida is reflected in the fact that when we were leaving her place, sitting in our car, she takes out, and she speaks in Pashto, she takes out 1,000 Afghani rupees and gives it to me. And I said, Mother, we don't need it, right? And she says, no, you have to take it as a token of love from me. I said, we don't need it. And this Chabol Singh from Kabul was sitting next to us. I could not converse in the language. She threw the money at me as though I had done something wrong. And then she goes to Chabol and tells him, tell this man, go and buy socks for yourself because they've got holes in them now. That's the love of oneness. And when we look at Gardes, there are some maniacal pursuits inside this. Because in my second book, The Quest Continues, Lost Heritage, the Sikh Legacy in Pakistan, I have made it, I went out of the way to go to the place, this village Toha Khalsa, named after a Sikh name. And I went in there for the simple reason because I wanted to document that well where the massacre had happened. And the hundreds of women jumped inside that well. And as I did that, that's the madness, you know, and the divine helps you when you have a madness, right? In Afghanistan, we went to Gardes, where there used to be a Gurdwara, a temple in the flat land you see behind. It's no more. The entire community came out. There's no Nanak Panthi there anymore. And some say he looks like my brother. And he came and gave me a hug. And then in Pashto he says, which was translated for us, he says, come back. Come back and make this Gurdwara, because I want to remember the days as a child when I used to eat langar out here, the community kitchen. That's the oneness of mankind. People want to live together. People want to. We need to rise above politics. and allow us to live together. And therefore, when we reached Kabul, we asked the community, which is all these 850 Nanak Panthis, 99% of them are residing within Kabul, and they're all staying inside the Gurdwaras right now. They've left their homes. And we asked them, is there any other than a Sikh family that still does, that would do Kirtan out here? Because this culture was such, there was an intermingling out here. And they said, yes, before the problem started in Afghanistan, inside the Gurdwara, Muslim families used to come and do it. And then we went in search of their descendants. They have forgotten, because they've not sang for 30 years now. And we requested them, and they came the next day, and we recorded them. This is the Rawab.
शक मोहब्बत ना निकाल का कर दे पार मुकाम राजाई साथी कर दे सच को शक मोहब्बत ना निकाल का कर दे पार मुकाम
Iraq. It's been a nightmare to get inside the country, and then to get to the site where once Guru Nanak had spent time with Sheikh Behlol. There are two narratives within Baghdad. He traveled from Makkah along the old desert route, along Najaf, Karbala, and reached Baghdad. We were able to map the entire route, Karbala, Najaf, and when we were in Baghdad, at Sheikh Behlol's mausoleum, next to that, when the Sikhs served under the British Army in the First World War, they made a memory, a Gurdwara, next to the Sheikh Behlol's site. A beautiful example of an interfaith coexistence, just touching the Sheikh Behlol's site. But unfortunately today, it's abandoned, shelled, destroyed. There are only 3 walls, no roof, nothing left. Getting inside has been very tough, because it's a non-accessible area. And when we reach there, look at the message of oneness, how it manifests itself in the moment. Every time where we've been stuck, people have come to solve for the challenges. And as we stood there, looking at how to solve for this, Abu Yusuf appears, the man who's holding my hand. And he helps us fly the drone, do the filming quickly and softly, and get out of the place just to document it. But then he also shows us this beautiful picture of his grandfather coming out of the Gurdwara, the Sikh temple. And he said, I grew up in this place. And this is my grandfather coming out of the temple, which doesn't exist anymore. These are the unfortunate stories. But the importance of documenting for posterity is a maniacal pursuit. Because Guru Nanak's travel is not about Gurdwaras and functional Gurdwaras. It's about a narrative that the world needs to know. Why did he go to Makkah? Why did he go to Baghdad? And that can only be told if you bring the narrative alive through the sites. And as we went into Sri Lanka, Guru Nanak came in from Nagapattinam into Jaffna and traveled along the island and exited from Mannar into Rameshwaram in India. And at a village called Kurukal Madam, which in Tamil is Kurukal Madam, meaning Guru's village, we were invited by the family on a Pongal day, a Tamil celebration day, a New Year's day. That's the day we landed there. They invited us for a meal inside, and the elders told us there is a narrative which goes, there are 2 people from Punjab who visited Kurukal Madam. I leave it for you to decide what it is. Tibet. Physically and accessibility very tough. To film in China is very tough, and that too in Tibet. And then the region where Guru Nanak went, Kailash Mansarovar. This is Mount Kailash. It's not just Mount Kailash. How did he enter from Himachal, and from Kailash, having circumvented, goes to Pangong So Lake and then enters Ladakh? Now you're talking about going westwards till the Indian border. Some divine energy helped us and we were able to go right till the border and film it entire. But as we were trying to reach Kailash, we had to go at heights of 19,500 feet. At about 11,000 to 12,000, if there's any doctor sitting here, they know, best of the human beings can be hit by altitude sickness. I want to tell you the message of oneness from our team. In the contemporary time, when we are doing this, there were places at the heights of 19,500 feet when Salman Alam Khan, whom we just saw, was throwing up. I was breathing heavy. My wife was breathing heavy. But one thing we've been taught in American Express, if the leader fails, the team fails. I can't tell you what my state was, but I didn't throw up, but I was so weak inside. The lady with us was fine. That's my wife. But the two men had it, right? So that's the woman power. And Salman, as he was throwing up at 19,500 feet with the lack of oxygen, holding a C300 camera, probably is 4 times the weight. And we decided between me and my wife, we need to abandon the mission, go back. We're not telling him that. But we did tell him, let's go back. And I remember when he said this, Nahi Amardeep Sahab, ab sab ho gaya, karke hi jayenge. Everything's happened now, we will finish this and go. So I thank him. It's a life risk. We've taken many life risks to this narrative. We could be collateral damage anywhere, but this is a conscious life risk that one chooses to take, that we will finish this. Where is a Muslim, Hindu or Sikh in this? It's the narrative that's important of oneness. And I thank him because I say he's our adopted son. He was willing to give his life for us. Where are the boundaries in this? And with that, I'm coming to the second last slide and bringing this to an end. I've been given 35 minutes. We're coming to an end. Bangladesh. The Gurdwara Nanak Shahi. Once there were 32 Gurdwaras in Bangladesh. The partition finished that entire culture too. Right now, there are 3 Gurdwaras in Bangladesh. In Dhaka, Nanak Shahi, Maiman Singh, 1 Gurdwara, and Chittagong, 1 Gurdwara. And at the Nanak Shahi Gurdwara, I would let the video speak for itself.
Tradition of langar, which Guru Nanak started at Farrukhabad in Pakistan, while has grown worldwide today, what we find here at the Dhaka, in the Nanak Shahi Gurdwara, on a Friday afternoon, langar being served to one and all. You do not find any turbaned Sikhs here. And the people who are partaking langar, 95% of them are Muslims. Some are Hindus too. The Gurdwara Nanak Shahi is managed by the Nanak Panthis. The chairman here for years is Mr. Paresh Lal. This is the syncreticity of the message of Guru Nanak, which we find yet alive at the Nanak Shahi Gurdwara in Dhaka.
With that, I bring this with a small poetry at the end of it. Before I end, we still have a long journey to go. It's been 11 months. We are trying to balance the act of financial support, navigating through the system, inaccessible conflict zones, bringing the narrative together. Salman has done his part, and we've bid him farewell for a little while, because today's bordered world will not allow him to operate in the 2 warring nations of India and Pakistan. He can't go into India because he's a Pakistani. So we have to change our team now. And now comes Deepak Verma, who's not present here, but he's a Hindu. And he's going to work with us in India. We've got a 6-month journey ahead of us. We're starting on the 14th of December. For those who stay in touch with me, you'll understand I'll be now then going round and round for the next 6 months. And we'll emerge somewhere in June with the Indian narrative completed. Thereafter, we've got about 2 to 3 months of recordings of the essence of message. As I said, his travels are a mere excuse to give the deeper philosophical imports of what his message of oneness was. It's not about he went here, here, here. There's a deeper sense that we have to give to the next generation. This multi-episode documentary is expected to be about 750 minutes, will be given in about 25 to 30 episodes, I think so. And as I bring this to an end, I just want to request, there are many hurdles. It's going to take us about, thereafter from mid-year, about a minimum of 1 year to stitch together the entire narrative. We are not able to travel today the way Guru Nanak traveled. We cannot. It's a bordered world. We go into a country and through all meandering, through all the risks, we map it clean from top to bottom with data. But the data has to be joined in a sequential manner to present to the next generation a story which they don't read in the books. And hopefully this content will last for posterity. That's the aim. If anyone wants to support, we are always looking for support, because it's going to take us 2 more years to complete this.